Welcome to another edition of the Growing with God podcast. My name is Austin Fox. We'd like to give a quick shout out to Alyssa Kramer, who will be a junior at PW this upcoming school year. Alyssa is actually the one who came up with the title for this podcast. So again, just a quick big thank you to her for coming up with the title of this. The goal of this podcast is to empower our teenagers and youth in the community to not only become more comfortable in talking about their faith, but also to have a desire to share their faith publicly with others and to talk about the way Jesus Christ is working in their lives. We have someone with us today who really epitomizes that, Lilly Rooks, who will be a junior at PW this upcoming school year. Lilly, thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You attended the annual Steubenville trip this past summer, and oftentimes that trip is a weekend where students really make a big leap in their faith, in their closeness and relationship with God. Could you just talk about that trip a little bit and how you felt you grew in your faith throughout that weekend?
Yeah, so I wasn't really sure what to expect, but when I got there, honestly, the biggest part that stood out to me was just seeing how every single person there was just there to get closer to God and grow more in their faith, and it was just really cool to be surrounded by all people who were there for one reason.
It's inspiring when you see that many youngsters with that fire and that passion for God all in one place, isn't it?
Yeah.
So something cool happened the following night, too, when we got back to Westphalia. We had a gathering in the church the Monday after we got back where people got a chance to share what their experience was like throughout the weekend. And you were honestly very courageous getting up there and speaking in front of your fellow classmates and fellow peers and talking about your weekend. What compelled you to get up there and speak about what your experience was like?
So when I was at Steubenville, we would break off into groups, and my group leader told us that the Saturday night adoration would probably have a bigger impact on us if we went to confession and our souls were clean and stuff. So I was talking to one of my friends, and I asked her if she was going to go to confession, and she said that she just really doesn't like it and she was scared of it and stuff. And so I was trying to figure out why, and she said it was kind of personal. And I came back to talk to her later that day, and she just started crying, and she was just so scared of going, and I couldn't figure out why. So when I went to confession, my penance afterwards was to say, Hail Mary, Our Father, and a Glory Be for a random person who just did not want to go to confession to hopefully change their mind. And I kind of felt that was God's way of telling me that I don't have to try to talk people into the faith, talk people into going to church and stuff like that. I can just pray about it instead of telling them about it.
That's awesome to hear. A lot of people, adults and youngsters alike, are terrified of confession. There's kind of, I feel like amongst some people, a stigma surrounding it where they view it as embarrassing and a strong amount of guilt over them when they go there. But Father Mike Schmitz talks about this all the time on YouTube, but it should be the complete opposite. You know, the confessional is a place of great victory. Jesus wants to forgive us. He wants to forgive our sins. And the sooner we embrace that, the more our mentality changes. And you've kind of adopted this mindset over the past few years. We were talking about this before we started recording, but you talked about how much you go to confession and how frequently you take advantage of that sacrament. And then sure enough, I cracked the joke that it's because you sin so much, when obviously in reality we know that's not the case. But what draws you to confession so often? And that's a beautiful thing, how often you take advantage of it. I guess what compels you to go as often as you do?
So for Lent, I was trying to go once a week, and each time I went, I just felt closer to God, and I would keep finding more and more things that are sins that I never even realized were sins, like not praying enough and stuff like that. And so I felt like the more that I went, the more sins I found, but also the more sins I was trying to steer away from and stuff like that.
It's amazing, and we talked about this too just a few minutes ago, how many more sins start to surface the deeper and deeper you get into your faith. And that's not to discourage us, but it's a sign that we're drawing closer to God. And that's a beautiful thing where it's like, okay, I want to turn away from this sin now, and this newfound sin that I just discovered. What is that feeling like after you get out of confession? Is there a kind of an overwhelming sense of peace that you oftentimes get whenever you do take advantage of the sacrament?
Yeah, for sure.
It's so rewarding and comforting, and obviously the sacrament is there for us to take advantage of as often as possible. There's no reason not to go, whether it's once a week or once a month or however often. Lily, who are some role models in your life that have had a big impact in your faith and on your faith journey and drawn you closer to God over the past few years?
Definitely my mom, because she is always encouraging me to just not be afraid to talk about my faith. She encourages us to pray as a family and pray on our own, and she's someone who I can go to if I have a question about the faith. If I'm having a problem or something, she'll have a novena for me to pray, or just things like that. And then also another one would be my confirmation sponsor, Jenna Spitzley, because we've been going to confession a lot lately. She's trying to get us to go to adoration, and she encourages me to pray the rosary more, and she's someone who I can go to if I need help with something. She is just someone who I can ask for prayers for or something.
I think it's safe to say that these role models have, just looking from afar, had a big impact in your life, because over the past few years I've seen kind of a quiet confidence, if you will, in your faith, which is very inspiring, and a desire to learn more. You and I have had some interesting conversations where just about very compelling things about the faith. And again, a desire to have a deeper understanding of why the church teaches some of the things that it does. And that desire to learn more carried over into Thursday morning Bible studies this past school year, which you were a regular attendee at. Those were completely voluntary. Lily, they were at 7 a.m. once a week before school. So apparently that 7 o'clock start time wasn't a deterrent for you?
No.
Well, you got me beat, because I struggled at times getting there. 7 o'clock is pretty much the middle of the night for me. But what drew you toward those? Again, they were completely voluntary. They were for people who wanted to grow deeper in their faith. What made you go to those as often as you did?
Yeah, I kind of realized that I just wasn't reading the Bible enough, obviously, and so that was my way of being able to do that in a fun way, too, not just doing it at home alone, which can be fun, too, but I was able to do it with my friends and stuff, and talking about it with other people helped me understand it more, and it also helped me to understand the readings at Mass that upcoming weekend, because we would read the scriptures that were going to be read at that Mass.
That does make a big difference, doesn't it, when you can talk it over with people your age and get similar viewpoints on what your classmates and fellow students are thinking. So, yeah, I'm glad to hear that it was beneficial for you. All right, Lily, we got some fun quick hitters for you that we've done a few times in past episodes. Here's the first one. Who is your favorite saint?
My favorite saint is definitely Blessed Mother. I look up to her so much. She was the saint I chose for confirmation, and she's just someone I go to if I need anything.
Do you feel like you have a pretty strong closeness and connection with our Blessed Mother Mary?
I think so, yeah.
That is a beautiful thing and a life-changing thing for anybody who does develop that closeness. Speaking of saints, it's also worth noting that we actually have here at St. Mary's a relic of St. John Vianney, the French Catholic priest. It will be on display this Sunday, August 4th, from 11:15 a.m. to 12:15 p.m. in the church. Again, it is a real relic of St. John Vianney. If you would like to swing by at any point and pray with him and venerate him. All right, Lily, here's the next one. What's your all-time favorite Bible verse?
I like Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I I just go over that in my head like a lot of times before my races because I run cross country and track, and just anything that I'm struggling with, I just think about that and I'm like, yeah, I can do it. I just have God and I can do it.
It's incredibly uplifting and empowering, isn't it, when you hear a Bible verse like that and basically knowing that you can do anything with God on your side. We talked about this a little bit before we started recording, but you mentioned that you listen to a lot of Christian music. Who's your favorite Christian artist or band?
I like For King and for Country, Lauren Daigle, Torrin Wells. Yeah, that's the main people I listen to.
Have you ever seen any of these live or been to any Christian music concerts lately or anything?
No, not yet.
Give it time. It's well worth it. What do you like most about being Catholic?
I like that I'm able to really know the truth about faith and about God, and yeah.
That's absolutely what Catholicism is, the one true faith, as our creed says. All right, Lily, last one, and this is arguably the most important question. You're a frequent visitor to the Ark. What is your favorite Ark menu item?
Oh, I always get just a shot. Like, the smalls are big.
They are quite large.
So I get a shot of vanilla shot with cookie dough and sometimes Oreo.
Vanilla shot with cookie dough and sometimes Oreo. Did I get that right?
Yes.
There you have it, folks. That is the go-to item at the Ark. Lily, I've seen you be an inspiration for a lot of people. I've seen you be a role model for a lot of people at PW and for people your age. Thank you once again for coming on the podcast today. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you.
If you enjoy our podcast, we'll have another episode out in just a few short days with another PW student. But until then, we hope you all have a blessed rest of your week.